In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
It's Thursday, everybody. Welcome in. Simone Eli, Gerhard Mathangani, Patrick Walsh behind the scenes, and it is day 4 of Southeast Sports Plus. Plenty to talk about, guys, as the month of August rolls on, which means we are inching closer and closer to kickoff of the college football season. Plenty to get to today, but how you feeling? How you feeling, guys?
Feeling
how you
good.
doing? How you doing, Patrick
Feeling
Walsh?
good. We talked about the hump yesterday, getting over the hump, and it feels
Are we over
good.
it?
You know,
Are y'all over it?
Oh, yeah, we are.
I think so.
Listen, my
kids
kids start school on Monday for the first time ever, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of in my head about it. So if there's some tears, on Monday, I don't want to hear it. If it looks like I've cried all morning, it's probably accurate.
I feel like that's the thing with parents, though, right? Is this tissue brand, and it's like, hey, when the tears aren't for the kid, it's for the parents.
Yes, it's
and I thought it
accurate.
was brilliantly done. So
my hope is that JP goes to school, and he's 3.5, right? So this is like 3K, guys. And by the way, it's not like, the school is pretty much in our neighborhood, so it's not like he's going very far physically.
Right.
So that's positive. I'll take him to school and all that. But, I think he's really excited because we pass the playground every day, and he sees kids and things. And so he's like, wow, what's going on? He's like a general interest. I will be a wreck. We have to meet the teacher and parent orientation and all of that today. And so I'm a little anxious. I'm anxious to see how it goes. Mostly for myself. So,
growing up.
Anyways, guys. But listen, someday when you guys have little ones running around, we'll be able to revisit this conversation.
Do not
in a
have
bigger
those
way.
yet.
So, not yet.
Not yet.
No yets right now, guys. And meanwhile, talking the Southeastern Conference, we have plenty of big topics today, and we're going to start the day in Gainesville here in just a minute, as we have several issues, or at least, well, not me, but the Florida Gators have several issues trying to figure out what is going on in their wide receiver room. The latest on that. What's going on with Texas A&M? Can the Aggies get things rolling and get it back to where they want to be there in College Station, Texas? SEC fantasy football offense. The guys and I have put it to the test, man. Who has the best offense going into, or who would we pick to really put together the best offense if we're going into 2025? And of course, Arch Manning, the latest on what is going on there in Austin. So we're going to begin today, guys, with Florida. And before we do, let's talk about some of the guests that we have on today's show. We're going to not only have some great people from Nexstar Nation, but also we're going to go outside of the company a little bit and bring in somebody from Sports Illustrated. So here's a rundown of who we have to look forward to today. Parker Rem and Roger Wallace, two guys from the state of Texas. Why not? They do it bigger there, so we're going to bring them on the show. From Waco, of course, Parker Rem holding it down, all things with the Texas A&M Aggies, but also going to talk about Baylor a little bit and their opener with Auburn. Roger Wallace, always doing a great job for us. He's going to come in and chat the Longhorns. And then, you set up our third interview of the day. Looking forward to that in our second hour.
Yeah, really, really happy to be joined by Ryan Chapman. He is the managing editor for Oklahoma Sooners on SI. They do a great job covering the Sooners. They cover all the sports. Right now they are knee-deep into fall camp there. So glad to have Ryan on towards the end of today's show.
Yeah, for sure, guys. Listen, as we often have started to see in sport, coaches, especially in the state of Alabama, are starting to dabble or entirely take over positions that are political positions. Could be in the nation, could be in the state. They could be up and then people are recommending that they are. And we have a situation where over in Tennessee, our former Tennessee coach has an interest in possibly getting involved in running for Senate or holding place in office. Gee, what's the latest on Coach Dooley?
Derek Dooley is now going to run for a spot in Georgia's Senate seat. Now, if you know anything about the Dooleys, that is royalty in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Vince Dooley, of course, his father won the national championship, I think back in 1980.
Yep.
So Derek Dooley has basically been a crown prince over there in the state of Georgia for a long time, but going kind of the way of Tommy Tuberville from the football field to hopefully what he hopes is in a political office there representing the state of Georgia. Of course, Kirby Smart won 2 national championships, but before that, just like Jack Patterson talks about yesterday, the last one they won was by Derek Dooley, and so he's held obviously in high regard. Derek Dooley
in that state,
exactly in that state.
Not so much to the friends of the north.
In Tennessee, not at all. And obviously, he was a great assistant coach at a lot of different places, and now he's running for another spot. But like you said, said, this is a growing trend here for guys that they're leadership positions. Coaches are leadership positions, and I think a lot of them want to scratch that itch of, hey, I know I can lead a locker room. Now can I lead a representative group?
And I think that it speaks to the parallels, and maybe this is happening in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
But I don't know for that for a fact. But what I will say is that I think that it speaks to how important sports are in the Southeast.
Right.
When you have former coaches like Tuberville and like, now in this situation where, okay, they are getting into politics, not only like trying to try their hand at it, but doing well and held within high regard. I mean, Tommy Tuberville, obviously a former Auburn coach, and now has a huge position there in the Senate. And it's just crazy that you see these folks in one level coaching football on the sideline,
right? And
now they're sitting here and making huge decisions, and they're a huge part of the political world and for our country. And I think that it speaks to how kind of play on people's emotions a little bit. I mean, not in a bad way. I'm not saying that the guy doesn't do a good job, but I think that because people hold coaches and hold specifically football coaches in such high regard in the South, the opportunity to be in this position and be elected is greater.
Yeah, your platform already gives you kind of a leg up. And you saw it there with Tommy Tuberville. And this thing just struck me, Simone, about some of the reasons why I think that coaches not only get into politics, but why they're successful in politics. And we can define success in a lot of different ways. I'm not talking about the political aspect of it. I'm just talking about winning and losing elections. I think some of the reasons why we saw Tommy Tuberville, as you said, also Tom Osborne, a legendary coach in Nebraska, also served there in Nebraska for several years as well. I think part of the reason is twofold. Number one, as you said, you can use your opportunity as the head coach. Outside of the governor, you're probably the most popular person in your state, especially if you're in a place like Alabama, a place like Georgia, a place like Nebraska. But then also, secondly, when you go to recruit players, you go to every different demographic in America.
It's true.
You go to the poorest of poor places, you go to affluent places, and you shake hands with a lot of different people. You meet a lot of different mamas. You meet a lot of different family situations.
You got to be a politician.
You got to be a politician in order to recruit. And I think that the skill set that it takes to recruit a player is not too far removed from the skill set that it takes to have somebody trust in you to go to the ballot box and go vote for you. And I think that's part of the reason why they're successful. Like I said, we can define success in a lot of different ways when it comes to politics, but it just struck me when I was watching Tommy Tuberville there. Part of the job is recruiting a vote, and that's the reason why I think some of these guys are successful.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is that not only are they able to recruit votes, but they're also able to bring people together. They can talk the talk. That's one thing, especially in our business. We have a lot of people who are start off as sportscasters, and they turn into newscasters. And sometimes I would argue they're the best ones out there because they can ad-lib. They can adjust on the fly. Sport teaches you so much about life. And look no further than Tommy Tuberville, who was able to go win a national title there at Auburn in 2010, and then go and be successful as a politician. It doesn't mean that you're well liked all the time, but it means that you can rally enough troops, you can rally enough people around you, not only when it comes to votes, but also the people that are working for you, and get them all moving in the right direction. And when you've done it your entire life, it's really to no surprise that that's able to pan out there in a political position as well.
And nobody knows the power of that more than coaches. Nobody knows the power of being able to take everybody with one mind. Now, you don't have to all think exactly alike, but if you have a common goal, and I know sometimes it's coaching buzz talk, but it works out in real life here in society. If you have one common goal and you're moving all in one direction, coaches know how to motivate, coaches know how to inspire, and that's the reason why I think a lot of them see that and want to scratch that itch. And talking about Tommy Tuberville, and obviously he won the Senate seat, but now apparently his next ambition is to go run for governor of the United States, governor of the state of Alabama, leaving his Senate seat open. And there was rumors that Bruce Pearl, Auburn's basketball coach, might try to run for that seat.
And here's the thing. I mean, Bruce Pearl is not afraid of putting things out there. I mean, and he will use his position to get a point across in the middle of a season, in the middle of the NCAA tournament, in the middle of a Final Four run. And I think that when you have the platform, and when you use that platform to be able to do things like that, and you're not afraid of it, well, dang, that's strong. That's strong. Because now, on the other side, fans are like, hey, are you still focused on our basketball team? Are you still worried about what you're doing right now? And I mean, you're going to get that. You're going to get that. It's natural and not entirely wrong. But Bruce Pearl knows how to coach ball.
Absolutely.
And he knows he has a platform that he can reach people and wants to use that platform. I don't mind it.
Me neither. And he's a strong staff led by his son, Stephen Pearl, and he takes over a lot of those duties as well. So he's not abandoning his basketball team. Nick Saban always said something that always struck me, that coaches have this motto that players don't know, they don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think a lot of those guys take that into the politics, saying, hey, my constituents here in this area, whether it's a state, whether it's a council seat, whether it's a board of education, they need to know that I care about them. Mm-hmm. And so some of that is pressing upon, those people that are going to vote for you, potentially vote for you for that. So we'll see if Derek Dooley can join the list of coaches
and
trying to run.
And sometimes just your name, helps.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I mean, there's pedigree there.
Yeah.
He's been successful there. I mean, if he went and ran in Tennessee, maybe not as successful there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks, I think that the one of the articles that I read, and the first thing I said was, hey, he's trying his hand outside of coaching, so this is perfect because go find something else to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a little bit of tongue in cheek and some fan stuff. Of course in the SEC naturally, but we'll see. I mean, will we? I mean, okay. I pose this question to you guys: if there's a coach not named Nick Saban, that's gonna be too easy. But if there's a coach not named Nick Saban, that you're like, okay, I'd vote for them. And I'm not trying to get in politics, like, in terms of the Reds and the Blues and all that stuff. But there's somebody like, wow, he rallies the troops. And it doesn't have to be in the SEC necessarily, but you're like, this is someone that I would put support behind. Who is it?
Ooh, that's a good one. I will defer to you first, Patrick, because I'm still thinking of one. I've got two that I think that would work really well.
I have one in professional football.
Okay, that's okay. I'm good with that.
I'd say Dan Campbell. Because if you go back to that first season that he was with the Lions, I mean, this dude was in tears over his own team because they lost.
They would say tears in politics is not a positive.
But you could tell he cares.
Passion,
That's where I was trying to get at, is that his passion is there, especially for his team. And I mean, if I remember correctly, they lost all these close games, and they were, 1-10. But, I mean, they had lost like 6 one-score games. But you can tell he really cares about the people that he's with.
Yeah. And I'll filibuster here for a second because I thought of a few. There's
one great political term.
There's one retired coach that I think would work well, and he's in basketball, Roy Williams of North Carolina. I think that he reminds me of just a statesman, and he coached Michael Jordan. He coached at Kansas. He coached at North Carolina. These are these are hungry fans, and he was able to basically appease them, and he was so good at recruiting and just really good at galvanizing people. I'd go with Roy.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not going to give mine because it would be much easier to give you the list of coaches that I would never vote for. I mean, and if we want to go have that segment, I would welcome that conversation. So I can't tell you who I would vote for, but I can tell you who I wouldn't vote for, and that list would be lengthy. And you know what? I'll leave with this hanger. There's a couple coaches in state. Not necessarily football. There's a couple coaches in state, though. I would be like, put yourself on the ballot. You need to go ahead and cross that off the ballot. All right, guys. Listen, great start to the show here on a Thursday, Southeast Sports Plus. We're going to get to break because coming up next, we're going to head to check in with our friend in Waco. Parker Rem joins Southeast Sports Plus for the first time, and we are going to chat all things going on there in Texas with the Aggies, maybe a little bit with the Baylor Bears as well. That's coming. Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus. Simone Eli, Gerhard, Patrick Walsh behind the scenes. We're so excited to chat with Parker Ream. And Parker, I first want to apologize for improperly saying your name a moment ago. So that's on me. You do a great job there in Waco, covering all things the Aggies, of course, but the Baylor Bears as well. And let's start with your day today. You're doing a lot of high school football coverage. We know that high school football in the state of Texas is crazy. I was in Houston for some short time, and man, it is super wild. You guys, to the point where you have to split classifications into A and B. I mean, there's several classifications within classifications.
Well, and the crazy part about it too is it's not just 1A. So 6-man football is a big thing here too. That's something that a lot of people don't really know about, but if you've ever watched it, some of the most electric games you might ever be a part of. They're putting up 80 points each team, and sometimes if they don't have a defense, then they're just scoring at will. So really a sports anchor's dream to go there on a Friday night, right? Yeah. You're in and out of there in 30 minutes.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, just a lot of schools. We got 64 schools between Waco and College Station, and there's probably more that we're even missing too, but that's just the schools that we rounded up. So in the process of that. We got 3 weeks to get to all 64, and obviously Baylor and A&M, they're right in the middle of fall camp. So busy, but
always
wouldn't want it any other way.
Busy and hot. Both of those things.
Hot.
It won't feel like fall in
point.
Texas until like November, maybe Thanksgiving or something like that. Let's talk about fall camp there in College Station. How the Aggies looking there in a year 2 there under Mike Elko?
They look really good. I think there's a lot of returning talent from Texas A&M, but there's also a lot of new faces. They lost a lot on offense, at least to the transfer portal, and then they bring back, starter under center Marcel Reed, the quarterback, QB1. I think for the past few years, it's been like, who's going to start under center for the Aggies? Now it's clear cut. Marcel's the starter unless he really gets injured. And I think that's been a cause of concern for Aggies too. Over the years, you had Max Johnson, Haynes King, but slowly but surely, all of those players, had some injury that happened. So I think really the biggest question heading into fall camp is, can Marcel Reed take that next step? And can he stay healthy? Because that's been the biggest thing over the past few years.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Parker, I think what's really interesting, not just Marcel, but the guys he's throwing to, because this is a completely new group. You've had to learn a completely new wide receiver room, and he has to be on the same page as those guys for the passing game to really work out. What have you seen so far in the early stages of fall camp?
I think there's a lot of different pieces that can give Marcel Reed some weapons. And I think that's something he didn't have last year, was he was kind of leaning on Noah Thomas, who's now at Georgia, and just a slew of other weapons. Jade Walker, not here anymore. And I think that's where A&M really attacked the portal. They went Mario Craver with Mississippi State, Casey Concepcion, which is a lot of people are looking at to be wide receiver 1 in this Aggie wide receiver room. But then you even look at some true freshmen. TK Norman is another one that stands out, that Coach Elko's hinted at a couple times, has made the most progress this summer out of anybody, even, Concepcion and Craver included. So I think that's something where you got to take a look at and say, maybe the depth is better now that those guys left. And I think that's something Texas A&M fans should be excited about, rightfully so.
Hey, Parker, I got a question for you. So from my understanding, Mike Elko is taking over the defensive play calling this year. How has that defensive unit, gelled so far this fall?
I think that probably was the biggest question leaving last season. I don't know if you watched the bowl game against USC, but in that Las Vegas Bowl, they couldn't stop anything. And that was what Aggie fans were really concerned about was, if Elko's supposed to be this defensive mastermind, why is that not working? And I think a lot of it had to do with the defensive backs. They couldn't cover really to save their lives. It kind of was a give or take. And, you saw that Texas game. The defense was really the only thing that did anything in that game, as you're seeing right now. But they brought in some transfers. You're seeing them right now. Julio Humphrey into the defense. Cassius Howell, another player on that defense that could really make an impact. Just a slew of talent, I think, that's injected into this defense. And Jay Bateman, the defensive coordinator, he's got something to prove this season too. So I think him and Elko are kind of working in tandem to try and fix this defense. But something that Elko said, I mean, dating back to last year and even this year, is this defense will look different. It will be better. And I think that's something that they're going to have to hold up their end of the bargain to if they're going to satisfy Aggie fans here.
Absolutely. You talked about Coach Mike Elko. We got a chance to hear from him. Of course, he's coached a lot of different quarterbacks. Coached a guy named Riley Leonard, who we know very well. He's from Fairhope, Alabama, came back and played in the Senior Bowl. He coached him at Duke. And he was talking a little bit about Marcel Reed and just the traits that makes a successful quarterback as he sees it when he leads a team each year.
Pocket passers. I think you've seen kids who are dual threats. I think you've seen kids who run better than they throw. I think in the last, 5-6 years, you've kind of seen the whole gamut of quarterbacks get into that position. I think the trait that you're looking for is the competitiveness, the ability to lift others around them, the ability to kind of bring a group together and galvanize a group to follow and play hard for each other. I think that's probably more than anything the trait that is consistent through them all. And so I think I think that's what you need. You need a quarterback that can do those types of things. And then you've got to build an offense around what your quarterback does really well. And if you can do those two things, you've got a chance.
So really nice insight there from Coach Elko. Do you feel like he has stabilized the program, Parker, in a way that he feels comfortable going into this season?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the vibe we've gotten from even the players talking at the podium too, is that it looks a whole lot different than when Jimbo Fisher was in Aggie Land. And that was, Elko got in trouble last year. I wouldn't say trouble, but he said something to the point of, this isn't a politician talking really fast and running this program.
Shots fired.
And then he came back and clarified, okay, I wasn't saying it. This wasn't a shot at Jimbo, but I think he's really kind of instilled this culture of this program gets tons of money and fan support to go out there and not put together an 8-4 season, an 8-5 season. They are consistently asking to be in the college football playoff. The fans, the administration, everything. So I think he's kind of established that precedent that we need to be there. We have the talent to be there. We have the money to be there. We have the recruits to be there. So let's go do it. And I think year 2 might be that year. Whether everybody can stay healthy, I think, is going to be the biggest thing.
This seems like a lifetime ago, and I feel like I'm dating myself. But back when I was at Bowling Green, Mike Elko, I played college basketball there. Mike Elko was the defensive coordinator, so y'all can Google that, and that's fine. I don't even care. But his trajectory, his career has taken him obviously into the SEC. He was at Notre Dame for a short time, and now the head coach there at Texas A&M. However, going back to the Bowling Green connection, he picks up a guy, and we know the transfer portal world nowadays is wild. You just mentioned a minute ago that one of their top players is now at Georgia. Cassius Howell, though, however, spent time at Bowling Green. He is now there at Texas A&M. Tell us about his impact and what the latest is on what he's offering to the Aggies.
Yeah, I think Cassius Howell, that defensive line, there's going to be a lot of different pieces that contribute to that line. But Howell, one of the returners that really kind of stood out last year, I think was a big impact on A&M's defense. And this year he'll have kind of a role. He actually talked about what role he wanted to take in this defense. And it's all about, trying to find those reps. You got tons of guys in fall camp, just as I'm sure it is across the board, competing for a starting spot. I think that's kind of where he's sitting right now. Is he showed out last year, but can he continue what he did and carry that over from 2024 to 2025? So I think he's definitely a bright spot on this defense. What his role is kind of remains to be seen at this point.
Yeah, and he weighed in on what that role is from his not only his days of being at Bowling Green, going to the SEC, what his role looks like going into this year. Let's hear from Howell.
Coming from Bowling Green, I had, I guess you could say, a larger role than I did as last year. So, as I, got into the season, I had to understand my role. And the adjustment was, just, make all the reps count. You might not be getting, as much reps as, you usually get, just like compared to last year, but just make them all count and maximize your opportunities. So that's all my mindset was.
You hear him there, Parker. And listen, when either side of the ball, you want a guy who is going to have a leadership type mentality, a guy who is embracing an opportunity where, okay, maybe moving from Bowling Green to moving to Texas A&M, you don't have as big a role. That's so natural. Obviously, right. You're going from the MAC to the Southeastern Conference. But now, and you go into year 2 after coming off a season where you had 40 tackles or whatever, or 26 tackles at last season and 4 sacks, and you were disruptive. And now you probably gain your voice. And it seems like, I'm not in those locker rooms every day, it seems like he's a guy who's very comfortable in his delivery and how he speaks. And that's the sort of kind of player-led locker room that you kind of hope for in this league, and that you kind of have to have success.
Yeah, and going back to what kind of culture Elko's instilled, the players talk all the time about it being a player-led program. Yeah. You take advice from the coaches, but true success happens on that football field, and I think that's kind of what you get from Cassius Howell. And you lose Shamar Stewart, first-round draft pick to the Bengals. We saw that whole saga in terms of getting him signed contract-wise, and then Nick Scorton as well. Those two pieces were a focal point of the A&M defense, but when you have leaders like that step up and all these transfers that come in and make the difference, I think that's really what you're starting to see, at least early on in this season, but obviously we won't know until we step out under Kyle Field's lights.
Absolutely.
Kyle Field.
Parker, I have a scheduling question for you. I'm going to take the Texas game off the schedule. I'm taking it off the schedule. You can't say Texas. which is the game that they're most looking forward to there? Obviously, Notre Dame is big. Obviously, the Auburn Tigers are coming in town as well. Which game are the fans the most fired up about going into this year?
It's a tough question. I had to pull it up myself just to weigh it. It's really, I'd say it's probably the Auburn one is intriguing because
last year.
If you remember that game.
Oh, we remember.
Oh yeah,
we remember.
I can imagine that A&M fans certainly would like to get that one back at home.
I mean, Auburn fans celebrated like they'd won that championship.
Yeah, they did.
I don't doubt it.
I mean, and to be honest with you, like, we obviously want to see our everyone wants to cover teams that are winning. I mean, that's okay. Yeah, I've covered 7 national championships because I've followed Alabama. So and one for Auburn too. To see them do well. So, but wow, that game kind of took years off of everyone's life, and then also it's during a time where people didn't really know what Coach Freeze wondered if he knew what he was doing, wondered what he was going to do in terms of after the season ends. And so, I mean, that was a big win for them. And you're right, it was one of those games where, you know, A&M certainly felt like they had an opportunity to probably put it away, and then here comes Auburn with the crazy stuff that happens in Jordan-Hare Stadium. So if they can get back now they're at Kyle Field, there you go.
And that would be a really important part of the season too, because let's just say they beat Notre Dame. Let's say they go to South Bend and get that win over Notre Dame and beat Auburn. That is a really, really strong start to the year and could, you know, spell some big things there for the Aggies.
I forgot that was 4 overtimes. Oh my
God.
Right? Yeah. Isn't that crazy? And when you think about it too, A&M went into that game at Auburn. You know, they had lost to South Carolina, which was a letdown, and that was another one that I'd say South Carolina is going to be a big game for Texas A&M this year. Just losing that badly. It was kind of like a start to finish, didn't really matter last year, but losing to Auburn almost forced that SEC title game in the Lone Star Showdown with Texas. And I think that's, people thought, oh, maybe we just, you know, roll through with Auburn and then, you know, we'll see where the cards fall against Texas. And that just didn't happen. And then you kind of lay a dud in that Texas game, and they were left out of the SEC championship, and their title hopes, college football playoff hopes, were gone.
And for Auburn fans, I mean, it's always like, what can you get out of every single, you know, what hope is not dead yet, right? It's like every single thing is like, oh, what can we still hang on to? And that game was going to set up an Iron Bowl that would have had bowl implications, obviously, for Auburn if they beat A&M as they did, and then they go and win the Iron Bowl, which of course Gerhard said this. I think you backtracked on that after hearing Hugh Freeze from practice
about
yesterday.
An hour after the show.
Yeah, he was like, you know, I think they're going to win the Iron Bowl, and you know, spoken like somebody who's, you know, seen the Iron Bowl go either way, but also you just wonder, okay, is there any possibility? And of course, there's a possibility in any rivalry game, especially. But I remember there was just so much on that game, and there was so much hope that still remained. Yeah. For Auburn, who of course went and did not win the Iron Bowl and did not go to a bowl game.
No, they did not. They did not. But yeah, go. I didn't know if you had one more question for him.
I did. You go. No, you go. You go.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask about the Texas game. The reason why I took it off earlier because I did want to revisit that. The fact that rivalry is back. Just how special and important was that last year that Texas and Texas A&M back on the same field?
Just what an incredible atmosphere. I mean, I'm sure you guys have gotten that through the years in the Iron Bowl, but this just felt, you know, like you said, being taken away and then brought back. It was the most expensive ticket in college football history for a regular season game.
Was it really?
You know, yeah.
Wow.
And here I am on the sideline with what should be like a $5,000 credential, and I couldn't even sell it.
Yep.
So you know, I just think I think it was incredible, you know, and again, I'm sure you felt these moments, right, where you step onto the football field and you get like goosebumps.
Oh,
You're like, this is such a cool moment to be a part of. And I think that was just walking into Kyle Field that day. The environment at Kyle Field already is incredible, but to see how much it meant to the state of Texas. I mean, you had people coming from all over, not just Texas and Texas A&M fans, and it was the Texas fans that showed up and had to be in those sea of Aggies, though. I commend them because that is a rough night if it goes the other way. But for Longhorn fans, lucky for them, they didn't have to deal with that.
My first time ever to Kyle Field was in 2013, and it was Johnny Manziel It was Alabama. I mean, it was complete chaos, is what it was. But I think I don't know what the final score was, but it was high. I think combined points. It was just a complete mess. But man, what an incredible atmosphere! Because I know that the stadium holds 100,000+. And nowadays, that becomes relatively standard as people grow stadiums and add on and all of this stuff. Alabama, but even Alabama, and this is no knock on Bryant-Denny Stadium, Kyle Field's on top of you. Kyle Field is literally on top of you. It feels as though, I mean, just the entire media side, or I think it's still the media side. I mean, I was there last time a couple of years ago when Alabama was there, but the way it's built up so high, you walk up to it and you're just like, wow. I mean, it's straight up. And there's just so many people packed in there, and even with the attendance full, like it always is in Tuscaloosa, it just doesn't feel the same. No knock on Bryant-Denny, it does not feel the same as what you get, there at Kyle Field. It's unbelievable there in College Station.
Yeah. So that game, I'll tell you what though, in Austin, it might be even better.
Really?
I think that atmosphere. That's my bold prediction. I think that atmosphere is going to be insane because obviously Texas A&M trying to get their get back there. I think I'm excited for that one. I obviously that's the one people circle. LSU is going to be a big one, but if I had to lock in an answer outside of Texas, probably stick with Auburn and Notre Dame. It's a big game.
And Elko has time there too. I mean, and fans fans don't. I say they don't forget. It's not like he went and pieced out on the Irish. Like they just played for a national championship. But there's always that it just means more. I mean, I don't know. I'm married to a coach, and I certainly understand when we go play teams that he's been a part of before, or won a state title at, or he's got buddies on the sideline. Like, they don't forget that stuff. They don't forget that stuff, and it's talked about. It's talked about behind the scenes, and I think that fans don't forget that stuff either. So. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Parker Ream, appreciate your time, man. This is great stuff. Looking forward to. Before I let you go, we got to talk about Baylor really quick. I lied. We're not going to break yet.
Sure. I mean, hold on a minute. I didn't know if you guys wanted to bring it up.
I do. I know
big season opener.
We're bringing it up. We're ripping the Band-Aid off here. What are you thinking? Auburn headed to Baylor on a Friday. First of all, wow. What are you doing on the 29th? I mean, you don't have anything going on.
Nothing, right? Just the first week of high school football combined with Baylor's season opener on the same night.
Tell me how that came about. Is this like a TV thing? I mean, I understand that part of it, but who said yes, this is a good idea?
So the great part about it is we're the Fox affiliate down here in Waco. So it's on Fox 44, which is awesome.
Oh my gosh, your lead-in for high school football is about to be ginormous.
Right? Incredible. It goes Baylor football, Auburn, right into our show. And what we're going to do is typically we do a game of the week. So high school game of the week. Come on. I'm going to put a small 2A school or a 6-man football game on there. I'm going to put Baylor as our game of of the week. Oh, yeah. We're going to lead off with that. Oh, yeah. And then high school football. Oh, yeah. Galore. Of course, naturally. To start,
So will you be live? Or, I mean, what's the live? What's the? I need to know the entire. You're going to be live there. At Baylor for the entire show.
We'll go live. We typically do 2 live shots from our game of the week. So we do one pretty much just recapping what happened in the game. The other will have sound. So obviously we'll have post-game sound while the show's going on, and we'll just kind of feed it in that way. But maybe we'll take the presser live. I don't know. I mean, it just it really sets up well to do that. The only thing that sucks is I can't go to that game because I have to anchor the show back at the studio. So
so you're in studio and you'll have someone live out there at Baylor.
Right. Yep. Yeah. We'll have somebody live.
Parker. You got to pull rank, my guy. You need to be at the game and be live there, and that's where you do the high school football show. Let me produce your show from Mobile for you, because that's what we'd be doing.
Hey, you guys come over here. How about?
Listen, man, we would love to. Let's do.
That'd be amazing.
Cover Auburn, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you. We're gonna get this work done. We're gonna be there. We're gonna be there. Listen, Parker Ream, appreciate it, man. Great stuff. Great contribution as well. Looking forward to recapping that game, but I'm sure we'll have you on several times before we even get to the 29th. So great stuff. Thank you for your contribution, and looking forward to week 1, man.
Sounds good. Good luck, guys.
Good
Thanks,
stuff.
Parker.
Parker Ream, man. How cool would that be?
That would be amazing. That'd be amazing.
I mean, I don't see why we already have this planned. I mean, we can be on their high school football show that is literally the lead-in is Auburn and Baylor.
Auburn, Baylor. I mean, and these are 2 states that are just they love high school football.
Yes.
Alabama and Texas.
I know. Which
especially in Texas.
So if you have to make the most of a situation, I mean, like, no one's going to sit here and cry about it. I mean, here's the deal. Nowadays, you can be at a high school football game and have your phone out, and you're still watching that game. Like, it's not like there's you can't do both. So, not ideal, but it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because it's so early in both seasons.
Yeah.
It's so early in the college football season. It's so early in the high school football season. We've seen high school football teams lose 4 games and still make the playoffs and make a deep run. So, it's so early enough in the year where not every single snap, got to be there for it. So, So Parker's got a really busy couple of weeks here.
Yeah, he does, man. I would be itching to get that one planned out, no question. All right, coming up next, we are going to go to break really quick, and then we are going to chat about our fantasy SEC offense. Who are we going with at quarterback, head coach, running back? I got my picks in. I feel like I feel like we're hanging 50 week 1, so and taking dubs. So we will have the latest on that and much more to come here on Southeast Sports Plus. That's after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus. Simone, Gerhard, Patrick, and listen, Patrick's out here putting together shows every single day for us, right? Doing a great job.
I try.
And here's what I'm going to say. I mean, these young bucks are all into this fantasy. Actually, some grown men are into fantasy.
Yeah.
And I honestly went into fantasy football and things of that nature.
Committed to another league today.
Did you put any money on it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How many brackets do you have? How many teams do you have?
There will be money put on it. We're settling on the dollar.
See, but here's where I want your input on this. Will you do multiple fantasy football teams?
No, I'm not even going to do one. In fact, our assistant news director has already said, hey, Simone, you said a couple weeks ago that you didn't mind if I replaced you in the league. And I was like, yeah, I was like kind of being nice. I didn't really think I was going to get replaced in the fantasy football league this year. I don't really have time to keep up with it, but I do feel like every now and then, whatever my auto draft whatever team was put together in the auto draft, they pull out a dub, and then I'm sending texts in the group chat just talking all types of smack, like, oh, look at this team I didn't even pick just beat y'all, whatever. And so he revisited that, and he's like, yeah, so do you mind if we put somebody else in there? I'm like, kind of. Like, I kind of mind. I mean, I want to pay my $10 and then just sit here and just be a part of it. Let me just be a part of the sports director. I can take care of it.
Have something to root for on Sundays.
That's what I'm saying, man.
It's a beautiful thing.
I mean, that's the only thing that anyways. So Patrick puts together a segment and says, hey, let's build a fantasy office. Why is my name going first? I know that I'm the boss, but can someone else? I don't want to show my hand yet.
Gerhard, do you want it?
I don't mind going first.
Here we go.
All right,
here comes Gerhard.
So build your offense in the SEC. Who are you going with? Wow.
Okay. So you see the format here: head coach, quarterback, receiver, running back, and a tight end. I'm going with the lane train. 2 words: Jackson Dart. It's a first-round pick in the NFL draft because of a guy named Lane Kiffin. We saw what he did with Tua at Alabama. Unbelievable offensive mind. Secondly, Garrett Nussmeier. I have a bold prediction. Will we see Joe Burrow 2.0 this season? My answer is yes. Maybe not undefeated, but an unbelievable year statistically coming off the great year last year. Jam Miller at Alabama, he was the one I kind of questioned because they might do running back by committee at Alabama, so his numbers might not look super sexy overall, but I think he's just a workhorse. 3rd year in the program. Last year, 600 yards, 7 touchdowns. Cam Coleman at wide receiver.
Listen, we know what he's capable of.
A lot of people talk about a receiver that had a breakout year across the state of Alabama. There was another great receiver at Texas A&M as well that Parker just talked about. I think Cam Coleman, freak athlete, an unbelievable year.
That is without question.
37 catches last year, nearly 600 yards. Let me do the math on that. That is nearly 16 yards per catch.
Yes. And I think he got behind more defenses and didn't get the ball thrown to him than anybody else in the league.
And now I think with Jackson Arnold in, I think it alleviates that problem you just said. If it was still Peyton Thorne, I would be worried about his numbers.
It wouldn't be. First of all, if it was still Peyton Thorne, it wouldn't be Hugh Freeze there on the Plains. Okay, that's just the truth of the matter. Because and quite frankly, he already knew that was going to happen. He knew quick. He was already trying to change things up a year ago.
Yeah, I think Jackson Arnold and Cam Coleman
Cam reach his full potential.
1,000%.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then my last pick is the tight end at Georgia, Oscar Delp. I'm not saying he's going to be Brock Bowers, but I'm saying that Gunnar Stockton needs a safety net. And he will be a perfect safety net for Gunnar Stockton, Oscar Delp.
And a lot of times that's just the scheme. I mean, scheme helps tight ends.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's in every league for sure. But listen, I like the picks. Pull mine up, Patrick. Let's chat about this. All right, so I'm a big Stark girl myself. Okay. All right, I like Coach Stark. I like Coach Stark. We're friends. He was there. They was there at Alabama, and we just were able to shut the bowl and just have conversations and stuff. And I I think he has a great offensive mind.
No question.
And bigger than that, I think that he has a lot of savvy. He's a guy who he's never, the moment never did too big for him. Even when they were in the playoffs, even not winning games, he always had that calm about him. Yeah. And I think that he kind of keeps football in perspective. I like Coach Sark. Yeah. I agree on Ness. I think he's going to be the guy. I think he's going to, it's kind of him and everybody else. Could be number 1 overall draft pick at some point. I mean, this is a guy who I think is going to be impressive. Now, running back, here's the deal. For a league that at one time, all we did was talk about running backs. Right. All we did was talk about running backs. And quite frankly, if you didn't have running back, you were not going to win in the SEC. That's not to say that's not the case now, but nobody just stands out to you like, wow. And so this is maybe a little emotional pick. I'm okay with that. I'm going with Fluff. Here's the thing.
Coming off a great
he was just put on whatever list it is. There were people who can, go be the greatest running back in college football. And all I'm going to say is I watched him with my own 2 eyes. Yeah. I watched his body change. And he was big. Right. And then he became big and fit. Right. And then he became big and fit and fast. And now, is he great at pass protection or whatever? I mean, I'm not an offensive coordinator. If I was an offensive coordinator, I'd put
Gerhard is.
Yeah, I mean,
he's Auburn's all-time offensive coordinator.
He thinks
in my mind, I am.
He thinks he is. He wants to be. Yeah, a lot of days he wants to be. You and my husband both want to be. But I'm telling you, I like Fluff. I think that there's a lot of upside there, and I think he's already proven at South Alabama how valuable he can be. Now you go put him in a system where there really is no lose. No, I don't mean that Mississippi State doesn't have expectations, but when you're growing, when you can be forgiving, so hand the ball off. He can be see how it goes, and he can share snaps. So I think that's going to probably maybe, like you said, it's not going to look super pretty on the stat sheet if they're going to have 2 different guys who are kind of carrying the load or whatever. Right. However, I think Fluff will become kind of that main guy, and then when in those positions where you're like a fourth and 3 or whatever, and you want to go for it. I mean, he's going to be your guy who can withstand these SEC defenses that can get after you hard. Yeah. Who else do I have? What else? What other positions? Okay. Receiver. Here's the deal. Like Ryan's a talk about freak. Yeah. I mean that dude. I mean, we said we know him. We know him unbelievably well. Right. Gerhard. Both of us were there when he won Mr. Football twice. Never had happened before. And the numbers were sick. We knew watching him that he's unstoppable. And then he went and did it in Tuscaloosa. And all of us sat there and said, yep. Like, I mean, everyone was so surprised. They wanted to talk about, how impressive that was and all that. And at the end of the day, it was impressive. But we kind of been there. We knew that. Been there, done that, bought that T-shirt. Exactly. And y'all see my tight end. So, I'm not really worried about tight end position because, quite frankly, I'm gonna be in like 20%.
And if anybody could draw up a great play for a tight end, some weird, funky thing where he's in motion in the backfield. Yeah. It's Steve Sarkisian's quarterback, so I think it'll help him out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I will see. We'll see. Somehow we need to be able to, take this. And by the way, I just said 20 personnel, and that is 0 tight ends. I was just like, for someone on this program to sit here. I had a moment. I was like, I looked it up. I was like, I don't correct myself. My husband is literally going to, even though he's a defensive coach, he's going to say.
Let's add this for you.
Thank you so much. Yes. So I'm not worried about it. We're just gonna, not worry about, about having tight end. I appreciate y'all filling that category out for me, Patrick.
Yeah, you're welcome. I put a lot of work into that.
At some point, we're going to need to figure out how to score this so we can revisit this offense. Patrick, I'll leave that since you created the
Well, I think what we should do is going forward, we should make some picks each week, and at the end of the year, whoever has the least amount of points, there's got to be some punishment on the show for that.
I'm already on board. Put a little wager out there.
Like wear a clown costume or something.
I'm trying to think eat a pie or something.
Could you imagine Simone in a clown costume?
Yeah. You got to wear it for an hour on the show.
She walks in.
It would look dang good. First of all, I would do that in a heartbeat. It's great television. Patrick, let me see your picks.
All right, here we go. Completely outside the box. I mean, I tell you. Okay. Here we go.
I like Josh Heupel.
Yes. I love Josh Heupel. He's such an offensive-minded head coach, and I mean, he really developed Nico. Unfortunately for Vol fans,
and that paid off.
Yeah, that really did pay off.
That worked.
But I'm also gonna go with his quarterback Joey Aguilar, coming over from App State. Actually, was committed to UCLA. And it was like one of those weird college football trades. Nico goes to UCLA. Joey comes over from UCLA. But the only problem with Joey back at App State was he did throw a lot of picks. But I think in Josh Heupel's offense,
so that will go really well in the SEC.
He's just going to throw it wherever he wants
Can I just say something really quick? I don't mean to interrupt your own segment. Patrick's either going to be a savant, and he's going to have this offense is going to literally hang 70 a game. Or this little boy is going to be exactly what he is, which is a transfer from some school in the whatever conference West Virginia's in, and coming into the SEC and realizing really quickly you don't know ball like you think you know ball.
Keep in mind, we just heard this from KCK this week. He hasn't even won the job yet officially.
He's gonna win the job. He's gonna win the job. He's going to win the job.
Patrick. Well, welcome to the SEC, my friend.
Thank you.
If I haven't said that already, you're going to figure out.
Does it mean more? Like, I actually don't know.
Yeah, here's all I'm going to say. He's so offended right now. He's so mad right now. You're going to be even more mad when you realize I ain't lying and I'm spot on.
But here's the caveat, though.
Here we go.
Let's just say that Joey Aguilar, let's just say he lights it up. Patrick's running back this part of the show. He's going to bring this part of the show back, and he's going to run it back mid-year in the year. 1,000%.
He'll put it in the show. I don't even know what the segment is. Like, all right, guys.
This is right off the top. Right off the top.
He's going to put flashback to just question mark, and it's just going to be you making fun of Joey Aguilar, who's leading the country in passing yards.
I'll open the show. It won't be you. It'll just be hey, Simone, you remember that time I made these picks?
On August 7th.
On August 7th. Anyways, back to the list. Got running back Jaden Ott coming over from Cal. You know, Ben Arbuckle being the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma, coming from Washington State. He is a really offensive-minded guy, and I think him bringing his quarterback that he had at Wazoo and John Mateer also is going to help that offense. So I think Ott's going to turn some heads. He's going to really run the ball this year. And then, as Parker mentioned in that last segment, KC Concepcion coming over from the ACC, the number one rated wide receiver in the transfer portal over the winter. This is a guy that really is going to revive this Aggie program and get Mike Elko off the hot seat. You heard it here first, folks. And then at tight end, Eli Stowers. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer.
That's an easy pick.
I had to come back down to earth for one pick.
Jaden Ott is a guy whose name, if you've covered Auburn in any capacity in the last couple of years, you get a little shiver on your spine. I have to go look back at the numbers that they had against Auburn.
In that Cal game, yeah.
Well, I know that when Auburn went to Cal, I mean, he was scary good in that game, and it was a guy who played kind of had like several hats. And so, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even know if I was paying attention that he transferred because the portal is so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
I kind of liked seeing that he's in the SEC. I looked at name. I saw your name pop up, and I was like, well, what's happening there with Jaden Ott?
And I think it's a little bit like fluff, like where come to a new league from a different league, and we'll see how you do.
Yeah, we certainly will. Patrick's saying we got to go to break. Is that right, Patrick?
Yes, that is.
All right, let's roll the break, guys. We'll be right back. Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus. Simone, Patrick, Gerhard joining you. And, man, an hour goes by really fast. We figured out in 4 days of doing this show because we look up and we're like, wow, an hour's through and we got to get to break really quick. That's what we're going to have to do right now. But we have a lot coming up in our second hour of Thursday's show. We're going to talk the Alabama Crimson Tide. Ryan Grubb reconnecting with Kalen DeBoer there as they're going to lead the charge for the Alabama offense. We'll talk the Tide. Then we will head to Austin to check in with our guy, Roger Wallace, one of the voices of the Longhorns as they get ready for week 1. A lot to look forward to in the next hour of the show. We'll be right back.
Sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus live with Simone Eli and Gerhard Mathangani.
Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus. Simone, Gerhard, Patrick joining you for hour 2 here on this Thursday as we are counting down to the start of the college football season. Teams underway in fall camp practice right now all throughout the SEC and throughout the entire country. It's very warm here in the state of Alabama, as it often is, which is why, teams are a little bit tougher in the South. I mean, you played high school football. You know what it's like. It was a toughness that you had because practice was brutal.
No question. If you're in the SEC and you're in the offensive line and you're in a practice right now, you are going up not only against one of the best defensive linemen that you will see all season long, but you're also going up against heat indexes of 116 degrees. And you're also going up against a second practice and a weightlifting session before and an ice tub at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And then film study and then meeting that night.
Yep.
And then your head coach yelling at you for, whatever reason it is. You just got to deal with a lot of adversity.
You forgot to mention school.
And then when school starts, you got school as well.
The school part.
You have to deal with all this stuff, and this is before snap number 1 of a game.
Yes.
So when the game comes, you've dealt with so much adversity. You're good.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is if I think it's hot when I'm just sitting out on the golf course, driving around the little cart, I can only imagine what they're dealing with.
Oh no, I mean I would not want to do it. I don't even want to play golf when it's hot, and I love playing golf. Playing golf tomorrow is going to be hot. And the thing is, it's like you can try to say, we got to get an early tee time. We're going to be out there at 8:30. It's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot. Yeah.
It's hot when we leave here and the sun's going down.
Yes.
It's still hot.
Yep.
So listen, we can complain about that all day, but the truth of the matter is, it's warm, and it's warm in Tuscaloosa right now. That's where the Tide gearing up for Week 1. They will play Florida State on August 30th, and even though the head coach stays the same, there is a new but also familiar face there at offensive coordinator. As we know, Ryan Grubb makes the transition back into college football, where back in the day he was linked up with Kalen DeBoer, made the run to the playoffs a couple of years ago, and now he's there in Tuscaloosa, where he made a very brief stop last year before deciding he wasn't going to be there anymore. And then in Kalen DeBoer's first year, and that was a little interesting situation that I still am not really sure. I think it's had a lot to do with his family and things of that nature, and wanting to just go and try his hand there in the NFL. But now he's back there with Kalen DeBoer, and I feel as though when you're comfortable with who you have, there on staff, that's always going to help. But when you have a guy who you've won with, that's certainly going to help.
Yeah, Michael Penix Jr. was kind of the prototype of the quarterback where I think that they saw the offense for Alabama they could be. Of course, Washington played for the national championship with Kalen DeBoer. Grubb was right there side by side with them, and they took a team, and Washington was not an obscurity by any means. Sure. This is a good program, but nobody 5 years before, 3 years before, were expecting them to play for the national championship. Of course, they ended up falling short. But I think that these two coming back together helps rekindle some of that magic that they were able to pick up there in Washington. And honestly, I think that they have a really good shot right now. You mentioned the quarterback. They don't have one named as of right now, and I think that's just a little bit more because of what Kalen DeBoer wants to do with that competition in that room, more so than anything else. But I think that Ryan Grubb feels like, hey, whoever we roll out there, he'll be able to get them prepared for the grind of the SEC.
Yeah, no question. We had a chance to hear from Ryan Grubb as Week 2 of fall camp rolls on there in Tuscaloosa, talking about the quarterback battle happening there in Tuscaloosa, rather.
They've grown a ton. Spring to now, even first practice to now, has been outstanding. I thought, a couple of the young guys hit a couple bumps early on, and I really thought they played through it really quickly. Sometimes you'll hit that, and they'll stay down. They get on the canvas, they can't get back up. But I thought both the guys did a great job, Keelan and Austin, of playing through that. We've had a lot less up and down with the whole room. I think that we've done a good job taking care of football. Again, today there was no picks, and I really didn't feel like the ball was in jeopardy today. And I think that's one of the biggest things is just improved decision-making in the room.
Certainly important to take care of the ball, especially in this league.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest things. We saw that for Alabama come up in a lot of different ways. Most notably, their bowl game against Michigan. Several different turnovers from Jalen Milroe, and they turned the ball over a bunch. Only scored 13 points in that game.
Yeah.
And that's a sour taste in a lot of Alabama fans' mouths going into the offseason. But obviously, we have a new quarterback. We are going to have a new quarterback going into this year. So it's the small things.
Yeah.
Of course, the guy that's on your fantasy team, you have Ryan Williams. The guy that's on my fantasy team, you have Jan Miller. You have skill players on the outside. But if you keep giving the football to the other team, it doesn't matter who you have.
Well, and here's the deal. Jalen Milroe was at Alabama before Kalen DeBoer was at Alabama.
Correct.
Okay, the dude played the hand that he was dealt. And that's no diss on Jalen Milroe, but I mean that's just the truth of the matter is it's not like he had his guys. He made a system around the guys he had available. Mm-hmm. And so would you have loved, if you're an Alabama fan, for that to have included a trip to the college football playoff? Of course.
Right.
However, that does not mean all is lost, and I think that we see a team in Tuscaloosa this year that looks much more like, at least from the win-loss column, like what we saw when Nick Saban left it as a couple of years ago.
Right. From a talent perspective, that's certainly the case. We heard this from Ariel Schaefer earlier in the week, just how strong that defense is. So it takes a little pressure off the offense. If the offense doesn't get off to a really hot start because the defense is there, and it's almost like having a great pitcher. Like, hey, Jacob deGrom, he's an unbelievable pitcher. If he could save you 4 innings without a run, it helps your offense really come into play. So it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I think because of that defense, it really is one of those, they call it complementary football, where the defense really helps the offense in a lot of ways, especially if they can get turnovers with Kane Wommack's defense and give their offense multiple chances. It gives Ryan Grubb, Kalen DeBoer, and that offense a lot of chances to take that next step this year.
I'm laughing because the complimentary football comment is very Kane Wommack-esque, and that's where I was going next. But what's up, Patrick?
I'm just glad we got a Jacob deGrom mention on an SEC show. Being that Mets fan.
Absolutely.
Don't ask them about them right now. They're not doing too good.
No question. Listen, but back to Alabama's defense right now. We did hear from Kane Wommack this week, and it's a calmer Kane. We're very familiar with Kane. South Alabama as the head coach for several years. It seems like a calmer Kane. So I think you make a good point. When you have a team that defensively is jam up, they can get after the quarterback, and that's the way that Kane's talking, but not in like the reckless, I've never coached in the SEC way.
Right.
In like the, hey, I feel comfortable in what we have available. We've made adjustments where we need to in the offseason. Going into this year, I think he likes what he has. That, of course, is going to make the offense maybe, take shots, take more risks, I should say, on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you feel like, hey, you have a unit on the other side where they're going to protect us a little bit.
Yeah, and Kane Wommack's defense, his philosophy has always been attack style, and it's not necessarily taking what the offense does and reading and reacting. It's, hey, we're going to be aggressive. Yeah. We want the football.
Oh, yeah.
We're going after the football. What's one of
the
Swarm D is what they
Swarm D.
Yeah. So a lot of those philosophies that he had when he was here in Mobile as South Alabama's coach and defensive coordinator before that. He's taken a lot of those principles to Tuscaloosa.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, his style is his style. Speaking of style, we're excited to be chatting again today with the one and only Roger Wallace joining us from Austin. Roger, look at you styling, man, profiling. What's up? How are you doing on this happy Thursday?
Hey, what's going on, guys? You like our shot there? We got the stadium for you. Just any breaking news happens down there, we've got
it looks
we've got
awesome.
A live picture of Royal Texas Memorial Stadium.
Look at that. I mean, that is, speaking of the stadium, by the way, we just had a chance to speak to Parker Ream a little bit ago about the Aggies, and he said, he works, they're our Waco affiliate, he said that he thinks this year's game between Texas and Texas A&M will be an even bigger atmosphere there in Austin.
Well, that's an interesting comment since the rivalry was renewed last year in College Station.
Yep.
I guess part of it is, what are they playing for? Obviously, A&M coming to Austin for the first time in over a decade is going to be big. But if like last year, if Texas is trying to get to the championship game, if A&M's trying to get to the championship game, but yeah, it's gonna be electric no matter what.
But you got to imagine. I mean, at least this is the case in the Iron Bowl. Maybe it's just because Auburn fans live with this relentless hope for something in the world, even if it isn't even if the stakes are not maybe as high. It just always seems to matter. It's one of those rivalry games where the fan base is, even if you're down and out, even if there's no bowl opportunity, of course the stakes will help, right? When you think about Texas going to Ohio State and being a 1 versus 2 there, it's great to have that setup. But in some rivalry games, it doesn't even matter what's happened to that point.
Well, no doubt. And, I hate to sound like this because this is what you hear, but, Texas is a lot of teams' big rival.
Yes.
In fact, the team they play before the Aggies is Arkansas.
Yep.
The team they play in the middle of October is Oklahoma.
Yep.
So, but you're right. I mean, second time around, I had a analyst who worked with me and he played in this series, and he used to describe the OU game is, you hit somebody, you knock them down, you leave them down. You hit somebody in the Aggie game, you knock them down, you pick them up, you hug them because they're family and things like that. Might be a little extreme, but I think you kind of get the picture. Okay. Aggies and Longhorns have to get along a little bit more on a day-to-day basis. driving down I-35 in traffic and things like that than Longhorns and Sooners.
So there's not as much of a bitter hatred, so to speak, that exists in this fan base.
It's a different one. It's that, who do you want to beat the most? You want to beat your brother. Now, the Aggies are going to hate that I said that because, one of the old sayings is little brother. But what I'm saying is there are more Aggie Longhorn families than there are Longhorn Sooner families. Let's just leave it at that.
I love it. I
was going to ask about that dynamic because in the state of Alabama, it kind of goes without saying that there's like a big brother, little brother complex going on there. And it feels like that's the same case because it feels to me that Texas takes their rivalry across the border more so than it does to A&M. But do you feel like let's just say, let's forecast it for the next 5 years. Let's say the rivalry is 5-5 over the next 10 years. Let's say it's 5-5. Do you think that it goes from little brother, big brother, Texas to Texas A&M, more so to that brother to brother, almost looks a lot more like what Texas Oklahoma does?
Yeah, I think it could change, based on success or failure against them. And what about Oklahoma? They're a little bit down. So if Texas, and it's not likely that anybody in this series is going to, just be the hammer and the nail for a while. We saw it in the early 2000s with 5 straight. Bob Stoops came in, beat Mac Brown. Then finally he broke through and won the national championship. Then he had the upper hand through the 2009 season when they played for that national championship against Alabama. So, yeah, that's part of it. What's on the line? Obviously, in October, you don't know as much about what's on the line in the big picture than you do the final week. And we talked about this on Monday, guys. There's no guarantee they're going to play every year under an 8-game schedule in the SEC. Mm-hmm. We know Texas and Oklahoma will play every year. They put $140 million into the Cotton Bowl for this. It needed $140 billion, but anyway, it's going to be.
Is it that in rough shape? Is it that bad shape? Is it really?
It's tough.
Yeah.
But the charm of it has won the fans over to the point where if I bring up moving that to AT&T Stadium, I need a couple of bodyguards. Yeah.
Really? A little bit of Texas controversy.
The convenience of AT&T Stadium does not outweigh the charm and the tradition for Texas and Oklahoma fans for the most part. But yeah, so that's another difference in the two rivalries. Nobody plays on each other's home field. A&M and Texas, it's obviously home and home. So it is a bit of a difference. But I think you're right, Gerhard. If this turns out to be every other year thing with Texas A&M, and they're each team is winning a little bit, that might carry a little more importance. But man, you got to go a long way down the road before Texas OU isn't the top of the charts.
Before we break things off and talk about fall camp and things, on the note about Jerry World and games being played there, high school games are still being played there, right? And that's still what takes place there in Texas. At least it did when I was in Houston.
State championship games.
Yeah, that's what I mean. State championship games. That's what I should say.
You know what? Jerry's practice facility in Frisco, part of the Star, high school teams play. That's their home field. Frisco Independent School District, north of Dallas. They play in that indoor facility. Where the Cowboys also practice.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
It's one thing when I was in Houston I was just not a fan of. That the school districts, they all have that's why I get a lot of Saturday games because they share these stadiums. We have one example of that's actually one school system kind of broke away, and I understand part of that is because of just the massive amount of schools that are there in Texas. However, it feels like you're renting the stadium for the night. And you're there and then you're out and do you practice there? And you get you get to be there for one day of the week, and it was always just something that I just didn't love personally. Roger, I don't know if you've been there for so long it becomes so just natural. That's all they ever know. But it's just something that just seems to kind of take out the pride. This is something that belongs to us mentality a little bit.
It's tough. I mean, it's tough. The bigger school districts, they have. Some stadiums aren't on any high school campus, so nobody is really the home team. Take, for instance, Pflugerville, which is between Austin and Round Rock. Nobody plays at that stadium, yet the high schools have their own stadium. But that thing was built about 5 or 6 years ago, so everybody plays there. So you leave the shadow of your high school stadium to get on a bus and drive to another stadium where you're the home team.
Just because some politicians said we need to build this thing and we need to make sure that we actually put people in it.
Yeah, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice stadium. So yeah, it's weird when people come here for the first time and you have to explain how they have to share stadiums.
Yeah.
It is a little bit odd. And you take a powerhouse like Westlake, Lake Travis, now Vandegrift, who won a state title last year. They all have their own stadiums. Not saying that's a big reason, but it's just a coincidence.
It's helpful when you can walk off your campus and walk right there to your stadium, and you're not having to bus kids here and there and doing all that.
Meanwhile, the pageantry of that walk, into the stadium and it's your home field.
It does not feel the same when you like Katy. I don't know if Katy ISD. There were other schools down there where we walked in and it's like Pearland, for instance. Pearland sticks out to me from when I was in Houston. Like you went into that stadium, Pearland. It was like, man, like this is like this means something to everybody, right? It's all you see is their colors and all that. It's not really the same.
Yeah.
So, anyways, just a thought of my thoughts on Texas.
So we could do here, right? We can take a left turn anytime.
We absolutely can, especially with you, Roger, because you're so well versed on everything. Let's talk about the Longhorns. Week 2 of camp. We spoke with you earlier this week about the offensive line, some injury there. What is the latest that we know about what's going on with Sark's guys up front?
Yeah, well, Kojo there, you see that graphic. It is official. He's out for the season. A guy that maybe hadn't won the right tackle job, but certainly was going to compete to start. Sark, it's tough. They lost 2 running backs in camp last year, including C.J. Baxter. Now they lose a potential starter on the offensive line. He thinks they're in good shape. He's got a lot of depth on that side of the ball, so he's confident. But it's. If you lose a guy that you're going to trot out there on the first play, that's a hit.
No doubt.
Can't sugarcoat that. So we'll see. They're pretty deep at a lot of positions, so they probably can absorb it. One starter back is DJ Campbell and a bunch of other guys that have played a lot of snaps. Trevor Gooseby is, I think, a name to look for. He's going to be their left tackle. He actually started in the SEC championship game. Kelvin Banks, the number 1 pick going to the Saints, was injured, so Gooseby's got some big reps. He's crazy athletic. His younger brother's a 5-star basketball player that everybody's after, and go figure. He's 6'7", about 320. The little brother's not that big.
6'7", 320. Wow.
Yeah, little brother's not that big. But anyway, they feel like they've recruited for these situations where they can handle some attrition.
No question. In the NFL, we get all these notifications of like training camp practices. This guy throws 2 interceptions. This guy throws 3 interceptions. I get them all the time for my New England Patriots. And is the hype for practice as big there as far as the overall breakdowns? I know with you guys there with your news products, you do more overhead storylines, but are there a lot more in depth about, hey, Arch Manning looked like this, our running backs look like this, and the receivers and just the way that has gone early stages of camp with all the scrutiny with being the number 1 team in the nation?
Yeah, unless it's coming from Sark or players, then you're hearing it from somebody who has a reason to tell somebody what's going on. So I think you kind of take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, wondering what's going on. Everybody's got an opinion, and your opinion, the way Arch threw the ball, might be different than mine, and then it gets out on social media. But Sark did say he felt the offense in practice first week, pressing a little bit, trying to be a little bit too good. He said the defense is ahead of the offense, which he said he expects and he's okay with, and joked about a guy ripped off a 50-yarder and he was mad because you don't want the defense to give up any. And think about, he's the offensive coordinator, so that kind of tells you where his mind is. He knows what's going to win ball games. So it's, training camp in college is so different because everything they do against each other. So somebody's not doing well if somebody is doing, high school, they get a couple of scrimmages. Obviously, the NFL, they get the preseason games. And I know Deion was trying to get a scrimmage going that didn't work out, but it's just so difficult. Now they'll have a scrimmage Saturday morning. They'll be in the stadium, and it'll be more game-like than practice where they do game situations, but it might be third down, it might be red zone, it might be goal line, things like that. They'll play more of a traditional closest thing to a game, and, it's interesting because he was asked about hitting. He goes, we got to hit. I mean, we got to hit against Ohio State 3 weeks from Saturday, but then you're always, holding your breath that somebody doesn't go down with a key injury. So they'll have 2 big scrimmages this Saturday and next Saturday. If there's anything that's going to help set the depth chart more than one other thing, as opposed to everything, it would be, I think, the scrimmage, because that's the closest to live action.
Yep. I know we had a chance to hear from Sark. Let's take a listen really quick what he had to say during week 2 of fall camp.
We need to give guys opportunities to tackle because that's the only way we can gain information on guys tackling and guys getting tackled. There'll be portions of the scrimmage that have been in the past where we tackle, and there'll be portions of the scrimmage where we'll be thud and we'll stay up. But that information is needed for the coaching staff and for the players. It's you have to do it because we have to play a real game, August 30th too, and we're going to have to get some real people on the ground, or that could be a long day, and we're going to get tackled by good people. And so you have to practice football to get good at football.
Hearing from him reminds me a lot of Coach Saban and just what the thought process is for coaching staffs going into scrimmages. It's such a crucial time, and that's one thing that the cupcake games that sometimes existed there early in the season for some teams kind of allowed you to get those live reps. It allowed you a chance to go play an inferior opponent and get a chance to make mistakes. Texas will not have that chance at all. They rip the Band-Aid off right away and need to defend, wrap up really, really quickly. Roger, when you think about the mentality of this team right now going into the scrimmage, I have a couple questions. One, what type of availability do you have in terms of seeing what is taking place? And then two, you said you think this is going to be a huge evaluation factor for Sark. He alluded to that there too. Is this the difference at several positions on the defensive side?
I think they're pretty set on a lot. As far as my availability, Simone, I can't tell you that.
Every time he's on this show, I'm going to want to get information out of you that you can't share. I want to know what it is that you get to see. The other, so it
I
is
don't even know what you're talking about. Availability of practice.
So no, for the normal folks, you don't get to.
I think they have a good idea.
Yeah. For the normal folks, yeah.
Maybe more importantly is not starters, but twos and threes. Who are the freshmen that they have an eye on that say, okay, I think at some point they'll be able to help us this year? And who are the ones that say, okay, we love what they have, but they probably, you just have to be realistic.
Yeah, there's time.
80 guys aren't going to be productive. So at some point you have to say, all right, these guys are going to be here. These guys are going to be starters or get 50, 60 snaps. And then there's guys that might get 20, but they could be 20 big snaps. So it's not just, setting the starting lineup, but it's also figure out your rotations, who can contribute, who looks like, well, in week 4, the way they're progressing, they might be able to contribute. They are crazy deep on the defensive line. They got a bunch of help in the portal on defensive line. So he thinks that nobody's going to get overtaxed on the defensive line. Linebacker a little bit different, but now the way they play defense, you don't need the traditional 3 linebackers for 75 snaps a game. And the secondary, I think they have to work some things out there. Do they move Michael Taff, the All-American safety, former walk-on? Does he come in and play some nickel? Jalen Gilbo's a guy that's played some nickel. Do they move him back there? So I think that's more of it than just saying, all right, we need to name our 11 on both sides. Let's look at the tape from the scrimmage, and that'll give us a better look at what we're going to do there.
Does Sark allow the media, the normal folks, like if I went over there, and I was actually, Sark and I are friends, so quite frankly, I might actually get to see the scrimmage. So the normal media. So put on your sports director at KXA and that. Do they get to see the stretching, the water breaks? Nothing. Nothing. It's like y'all are not here.
No, they don't. And here's what happens, especially this one, because this is family comes. Well, who do all the website guys form relationships?
Oh yeah, I mean all the recruiting guys, they're hitting up, the sister, and like the little brother, 7-year-old got a phone. Hey man, hey, who's starting there at who's there at DN? Who's getting the most steps? What's Arch look like? I mean, is Sark mad? What's it?
So you've got 100 sets of parents, brothers, whatever. Information is going to get out.
Yeah.
You have referees. You have managers. So, the information gets out, and it's usually fairly accurate. And Sark will talk about it he won't do an availability after the scrimmage. Early next week, Monday or Tuesday, we'll hear from him again. But, There are not a lot of secrets now. There's just too many ways to get information. But to answer your question, no, I don't think he sees any value in it, and it's their work time. So, we got a chance to take a peek at the first 2 days for about 30 or 40 minutes. And you know what happens, guys, is that all they do is they just take inventory. Yeah. And so it's all about who's playing and who might get nicked up, because those are the things that draw clicks. I always joked about, because I told you guys I do get a chance to watch practice for my radio duties, and I always joked about, okay, the media wants to go watch, say, all right, if you come, you got to stay for the entire practice, and you've got to come every day. Well, those practices at 2 o'clock in August for 2.5 hours, and they'll just start being glazed over, because here's the secret. They're not that interesting. It is like a machine. They just go through drill, 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 drill. It is not. It's not, I think, what some people might think. When they get done with practice, it's a quick huddle. It's a few words. Boom, go take care of the next thing, because it's always about what's the next thing you have to do to take care of your body and make your team better. Get off your feet, rehab, cold tub, food. If it's during the season, take care of your academics, meeting.
It's not fun.
So and so it's it's interesting, because you kind of feel like you're behind the curtain, but then it all kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, as a coach's wife for a while there, early on, 10 years ago, married coach, I'm like, I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice. I'm going to be there. I'm going to have the team shirt. I'm going every day. I'm going to go every day, and I'm going to see. I sat there and I'm like,
30 minutes in, you're on your phone.
I'm leaving. I am leaving. It's hot. It's Alabama. I am not watching
this. Last Tuesday looked like last Tuesday.
Yes. And it's like, short of like Oklahoma drill. Anything else, I'm like, okay. Like inside of me.
Yeah, I think that's gone away.
Yeah, exactly. Can't even do that anymore, honestly. Well, some people still do it, but they're going to hear about it. But listen, you're right, though. And you know what's the only thing that's worse is watching film with a coach. Because when they sit with that cowboy clicker, and they're like, do you see the left foot of the tackle and how it's pointed slightly to the right, and I'm just like, okay, no, I don't actually, but I love football.
But I'll say this, I'm sure if you watch practice, you can understand why they give you the line that they do is, I've got to watch the tape. Well, think about, a game is one thing where obviously they say, here's what I saw, I need to look at the tape to see what I didn't see. In practice, it's that times 100.
Oh, yes.
Because they're all over two fields, and you just can't break down enough because of what Sark works with the offense.
Sure.
But he doesn't work with everybody at the same time if they're going two quarterbacks at one end and two So anyway, that's there's so much going on that for the coaches, they really see practice after practice.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. It's been a couple of days since the coaches poll came out, and I'm sure when the Associated Press poll comes out, it will look very, very similar. I think I know the answer to this, and I think it walks hand in hand with what you just said about practice and everything else, and just how diligent they are. Has there been any talk about the number 1 overall ranking and what this team, as far as expectations are? You said you saw it felt like the offense was pressing a little bit. I don't know if those two things walk hand in hand because of the expectations for the season. Has there been any talk that you've seen and or heard, or maybe the ripple effects, spoken or unspoken, with that team?
Sark had a maybe 20-minute availability Tuesday. Not one question about the preseason poll.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells you everything. Now, I would have been curious to hear. I have a pretty good idea what he would say, but it's never happened. Texas has been playing football since 1893. The poll's been out since 1936, and not once have they sat there at number 1. So might have been kind of fun to hear what he had to say about that. But no, and I think to your point about the offense, if you think about it, the defense, it's so much, especially early in camp, it's so much reaction compared to the offense, where it's so much about chemistry and about execution that it kind of stands to reason. I don't want to say it's, see-ball, hit ball for the defense, but they're ahead, I think, just by nature of that side of the ball compared to, what the offense has to do to be efficient.
Before we let you go, all this talk of the young Arch being back in 2026. I know that we're talking about 25, and Lord Almighty, we haven't even had one single snap.
How about that?
But all we just, this is one thing about sports, man. I'm telling you, it is so exhausting.
Spin it forward.
These not too early polls that come out in January or way too early, whatever they call them.
Right.
I'm like, guys, Y'all take a breather. Everybody take a breather, okay? Take a breather. But that's what people want to read. That's what people want to watch. Talk about whatever, so we're gonna talk about it. Is Mr. Manning back in 2026? In your opinion?
You're gonna put my feet to the fire on that one. He hasn't taken a snap as the starter.
You know what? We're the same person. At least the three of us are all aligned on so much. That's why we love having you on the show. You're just gonna become a third member. Actually, can you just move Mobile?
Let's put it this way: if Texas lives up to the expectations and they do what some people expect them to do, then that might determine one decision by Arch. If they trip up a little bit, get close, get a taste, but they don't, that might determine Arch. We don't know what kind of season Arch is going to have. Yep. I certainly think it's possible. And again, I go back to what we've talked about before. I think his last name and his pedigree would lead him to staying rather than going to the NFL, whereas some people think, he wants to be the starter right off the bat. His name's Manning, then he's going to be the number one pick in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And I go back to he has enough people that he trusts that are looking out just for him, no ulterior motives, that would probably lean on the side of why not be 2 years as a starter in college. Not about the money, guys, right? We know he's taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays in college,
just an F1 team.
Yeah.
He
usually has a couple guys around him that could probably give him advice on what to do. Just a couple. And it's not going to be the folks that are writing these articles.
It's not business, right? It's football. It's a football decision. And if you have a coach that you think is as good as anybody with quarterbacks at any level, potentially, and you've got a program where you're happy and you're developing, then of course it's logical to think that there's a great chance he would play 2 years. I'll look at it this way. I'm not saying stay for 4. I'm saying play 2 years as a starter.
Yes.
And if you look at it that way, that's not that crazy.
Yeah, it's totally different ball game there, no doubt. Roger Wallace, got to find something to talk about when it's August 7th. If there's not enough coming out, people have to find something to talk about because come August 30th, all we going to do is talk ball. So, good stuff. Appreciate it, sir. We'll have you back on. We'll catch you back up next week, man.
Yeah, guys. Thanks. Always fun. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roger.
Good stuff. Roger Wallace there in Austin, Texas. We're going to take a quick break, and when we rejoin you, we're going to head to the other side of those rivalries that are all taking place out there in the west part of the SEC as we are going to chat with some folks with Oklahoma. That's coming up next. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus. We've had a great show today.
It's been great.
We've done a lot of
Roger's awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome. And got a lot of Texas talk. Parker Ream a little bit earlier. Roger was phenomenal, but Texas A&M and the Longhorns covered really well by those outlets. Now let's talk a little over-under here.
Love this game.
We'll do this periodically as the season goes along.
We do it all the time.
Yesterday
we are going to do it all the time.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yesterday we had Alabama, 9.5. Today we have a couple more teams on deck here. Let's start with Mississippi State.
What did I pick for Alabama, by the
way?
Over
last.
I thought I picked 9.5.
Yeah.
I don't know how I think.
Yeah, 9.5, which basically is like, hey, do you think they'll win that 10th game, which I think they will. I think you said that they will as well. Mississippi State's over-under is 3.5. Do you think they can get to 4 wins and go to the over? Keep in mind, their season opener is at Southern Miss.
Give your take while I look at something really quick. Let me just...
3.5. That's disrespectful.
Very.
First of all.
Very.
3.5.
Yes.
So that's like bad.
I think this... Okay, go ahead.
I know it's bad, but I'm saying to put that on a team is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they didn't win an SEC game last year, but...
Well, there you go.
You gotta...
And what was the record last year?
I mean, it was not good.
They went over
in the SEC. Over in the SEC, and did they win a 4th game?
Dude, they were 2-10. So 3.5 seems like an improvement. I mean, I feel like they're doing a favor. I mean they're saying they're going to get better.
By a game. You know what?
By a game and a half.
Glass half full. I kind of like it. But second year with Jeff Levy.
I don't find it disrespectful. I find it Vegas saying we ain't about to lose our behinds on this.
Vegas obviously thinking like, hey, this team can get a little better. But I mean, their schedule is hard. But go ahead, Patrick. Over or under on this?
I'm picking the over. I think they get 4 wins.
Me too.
I mean, honestly, I feel like that's a fair number.
Okay, are y'all looking at the schedule? Because I'm just wondering where. I really am wondering where.
This number to me.
Okay. So tell me right now. Southern Miss?
W.
Maybe. Okay. I mean, we know Charles Huff has brought all of the Sun Belt winning Marshall team to Southern Miss.
It's not enough.
It's a risk.
It's not enough. And I like your guy Fluff Bothwell.
Take I like fluff too. Okay, so don't try to play my feelings right now. All I'm saying is that you need to write this down, Patrick, and we'll revisit this. We'll revisit this when we need to.
They gave up 3 touchdowns.
Okay. Arizona State.
Dub. It's in. The reason why Arizona State people will not know the humidity of Starkville, Mississippi at 6:30
now
in September.
Now that I'll agree with, because it's
in
nice
November,
out there. It's way
Okay, but
more
you can't disrespect Kenny Dillingham like that, though.
Oh, my God. Kenny Dillingham is...
And that was the
he does the absolute most.
Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah, he does.
Needs to take a
he turned around the Arizona State program,
though.
They
made the College Football Playoff last year.
He'll be the first to tell you.
They were picked dead last, I will say.
Yeah.
Because I was at a Big 12 school last year, Simone.
I think they'll go true to form. I think they'll go true to form. And then I know that you're going to go next to Alcorn State.
Okay.
That's another
I'll
dub.
give them a dub.
And then the Salukis of Northern Illinois.
The what?
The Salukis.
What did you call them?
The Northern Illinois Salukis.
That is not their mascot.
Yes, it is. Is it not?
No, it's the Huskies.
Who are the Salukis?
The Salukis.
Who are the Salukis?
What is a Saluki?
Oh, it's the same thing. It's like a sled dog. Oh, wait, hang on a second.
No.
we need.
Hold on. He's making that.
Sorry, that was Southern.
We need to know.
One's Northern Illinois. This is Southern Illinois. And that is on me. Southern Illinois is the Salukis. Northern Illinois is who they're playing. That's on me. That's on me. It's the same state.
How do you spell Saluki?
S-A-L-U-K-I.
I just typed it in. I put S-A-L-O-O-K-I-E.
I know Matthew Sluka, quarterback.
Yes.
I didn't know a Saluki.
Saluki is a dog, and that dog compared to a husky would kill that dog.
A husky would kill that dog. Yeah. But I was so excited to say this.
I'm offended for Northern Illinois, and I hated going to Northern Illinois. It was the worst drive ever, all the way from Northwest Ohio going to Northern Illinois. But I know they ain't the Salukis. The husky would kill that dog.
Southern Illinois, the Salukis. Northern Illinois, the Huskies. But what I'm telling you is, Mississippi State is going to start 4-0, and they're going to win that bet in the first 4 weeks. This is free money. This is free money.
And I can't
there
wait.
There is no such thing as that.
Have you put your money on it yet?
Not yet,
okay.
But I'm going.
Is he going to put the house down?
I might go across the way and see some time with our friends at the sports book. I'm telling you, 3.5.
I thought you told me about the VPN.
3.5 is. if you want a true wager to get your cash right the right way, don't be listening, IRS.
Listen, I'm like a sponge. I just hear these things. I don't really know about any of them myself. All right, listen, I'm taking 3, so I'm taking the under.
Okay,
good job.
Wow.
There I am making my bets.
Very, very bold right there.
So another over in the SEC, actually. So what you're saying?
Did I say that? I said that I'm taking 3.
Oh, so they are going to get SEC win or beat the
Huskies. I said I'm taking 3. Next game.
Yeah, quickly, let's hit Vandy here.
He's saying we have to hurry.
Yeah, Vandy. As we talked with Julian the other day, Vandy, they won 7 games last year. Their number's 4.5, and I think it goes under. I think they go 4-8 this year.
I think that's strong because here's what I'm saying. I mean, not that I'm disagreeing necessarily, but Diego Pavia said today that he's the best quarterback in the country. Okay, and that's fine. I mean, have your confidence, fine. That they're going to win a national title. And I honestly think that something's happened to this team's psyche since their Birmingham Bowl ring came in. I think the Birmingham Bowl boxes, the ring boxes came in, and they opened them and they said, "Wow,
we're not champions."
I mean, here's what we already know about Vanderbilt is that even without winning a national title, they're still gonna get it.
Oh, they'll celebrate.
So they can go to the Hawaii Bowl, which quite frankly, that seems like a win in of itself. Going to Hawaii, I'm fine with that. I'm not hating on the Hawaii Bowl. All I'm saying is,
I think there's one too many cocktails on Broadway for that group.
Someone with a lot of money said, "We are going to have something to celebrate this, and we're gonna buy these rings." Next team.
We're gonna go stay here. Tennessee.
This is aggressive.
That's strong.
This is aggressive.
Wow.
This is very aggressive.
Hold on a minute, because that's telling me that Vegas or someone whoever this is that decides these numbers, it thinks that Alabama and Tennessee are going to have a similar year when it comes to the loss column.
Yeah.
Because Alabama was also at 9.5.
Right.
If I'm going with which one of those teams has a greater chance of taking the over, being the over, whatever it is over the over, it's going to be Alabama. In Tennessee, I mean, think about all of the tumultuous situation going on at quarterback, and Josh Heupel he's great. I think that they built something special there. I still think it's Tennessee.
Yeah, I think Tennessee to me is going to be a good team. I don't think they'll lose to Syracuse like our boy Patrick Walsh does, but I do think that this number goes under. But they still have a shot, in my opinion. They still have a shot at 9-3.
Do not
on the outside looking in.
His face. I just rolled my eyes and I looked
doubt
over at him.
head coach Fran Brown. That dude wants to take a shower after that game. Winners get washed, baby.
What does that mean?
Winners get washed.
You get the Gatorade bath.
Wow.
The post game interview, he goes, winners get washed. Hey.
But you do realize he had 16 teams to choose from, 16 coaches to choose from, and he chose Josh Heupel. But yet he says Heupel's going to lose in his first game to Fran Brown.
Yeah, he'll lose game 1
because Fran Brown's the savior. Though.
So you said that Tennessee's going to win how many games? Did you take the over?
No, I took the under.
Heupel in fantasy.
Oh, yes, that's okay on his fantasy offense.
Right.
Yeah.
I got him at 9 wins.
Yeah, so honestly. Under. But that to me,
9.5 is crazy.
That 9.5 is wild. But I think the game it falls on is the Alabama game, because I think whoever wins that game will have that 10th win, and they'll go 10-2, and that loser could be 9-3, and that team is on the outside looking into the college football playoff. How
much time left in here? I'm going to look at the Tennessee schedule really quick. I just want to commit to this.
We want to rattle off win-loss.
I'm just looking for where we're going to find 9. Hold on a minute now. They're going to beat Syracuse.
Who? With the mighty Fran Brown?
I said Tennessee's going to beat Syracuse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to beat Syracuse.
Yeah, they'll beat Syracuse.
I mean, it's at 11 a.m. They're in Knoxville. It's going to be warm.
No. It's in Atlanta.
It's in Atlanta.
Oh,
keep in mind it's in Atlanta.
Well,
it
doesn't matter.
That's the neutral site game.
You know what? Even more reason why they're going to lose. I don't know.
Hey, you said yesterday that stadium might be orange.
It's going to be a little bit orange. Okay, East Tennessee State. Are they in the what are they in the? Are they in the Class 7A in Alabama? Okay, yeah. Sorry.
The disrespect.
That's 2. They're losing to Georgia.
Okay.
They'll beat UAB, and I hope they beat them like a drum. That's 3. They'll beat State. 4. Arkansas, yeah. Alabama, no. So what are we at? 1, 2.
You got 5.
3.
You got 5 wins.
4, 5. That's 5. Now what? Now you got to pick up. So they're losing to Alabama. Now they got to pick up what? They got to go undefeated out.
No, they can lose one more between Tennessee and Oklahoma. Oh yeah, to take the over. Yeah, they can only lose one. They can only lose one more.
It's possible. It's possible. They only lose to Georgia and Alabama.
They got to go to the swamp. I think that'll be a tough game.
Half the team's in a boot. All right, guys, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus. Simone Lai, Gerhard Mathangani, Patrick Walsh joining you as we are in the last quarter hour of a 2-hour show, day 4 here, Southeast Sports Plus, talking all things SEC. And super excited to be chatting with a friend of the show and Ryan Chapman joining us, the co-publisher of Sooners on SI. Ryan, happy Thursday. How's it going out there?
It's going good. We're in the dog days of camp. I think we've officially moved from like campus starting to the dog days, and we're just rolling. Can we just kick off yet? Are we there?
That would be nice. That would be nice. We are kind of still in like the talking season. We feel like that media days is when really everyone is just doing all the chatting, and then we do more chatting, and then we just start to have crazy headlines like, is Arch Manning going to return in 26? And at the end of the day, no one really even seen him play football yet this year. So how can we determine that? Anyways, Ryan, listen. It's year 2 for Oklahoma back in the SEC. How is this year different at this time, early August, than it was maybe a year ago?
Yeah, the first thing is like injuries. I don't know how closely people outside of Norman followed the injury situation. The easiest way to say it is a year ago at times, the top 7 expected contributors in the wide receiver room were out. Wow. The top 7. Mm-hmm. Only true freshmen to deal with, basically. Yeah, the top 7 pass catchers were all out. And outside of right guard, Oklahoma started 3 different offensive linemen at every spot on the line, and that was 100% due to injury. None of that was guy wins job halfway through the year, and that started in camp a year ago. So it actually started in spring ball. They lost their center to a knee injury and had to go portal shopping, all that stuff. So the number one thing is that they're not that banged up. They have some bumps and bruises, but don't have any like major guys out. And then the other thing is just going to be a year ago, they were installing a new offense, kind of. They lost Jeff Levy to Mississippi State, decided to roll in-house, promoted analyst Seth Luttrell, and decided, hey, let's try and keep everything pretty similar with Jackson Arnold coming in to start for the first time. Did not work, so they brought in Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer, who both were at Washington State a year ago. Arbuckle, it's his own offense. It's not Seth Luttrell trying to like piecemeal together 4 or 5 different systems to try for the sake of continuity. And John Mateer has started. Has he started the SEC? No, but he's like started games before. So that's probably the 2 biggest differences as the Sooners get rolling in camp or have gotten rolling in camp over the last week and a half.
Yeah, it's been an interesting situation with the quarterbacks there because Jackson Arnold starts the season. Then Michael Hawkins Jr. comes in during the Auburn game, by the way, which is ironic because then Jackson Arnold comes back to play Alabama, beats Alabama, and then that's enough for Hugh Freeze to say, come on down to Auburn. And
Ryan
then
says that's portal shopping, which, by the way, I'm going to use that phrase all the time now. You said a minute ago, portal shopping is what that was. So no, didn't mean to interrupt you there, G.
I know. No, it's all good. I like it a lot. How has that whole quarterback room been just overall with all the changes in season last year and then now with Mateer and company this year?
Yeah, first off, I've just been really impressed with Hawkins. He was thrown into an awful situation, which Arnold wasn't great, Hawkins wasn't great, but we talked about the offensive line issues for a redshirt freshman and a true freshman. Essentially, that was going to be a disaster for either one of those guys. But for Hawkins to stay knowing that John Mateer came in, John Mateer did not come in to be the backup or to be in a competition, frankly. Yeah. He came in as one of the highly touted guys in the portal, fighting off Bill Belichick and Tom Brady at North Carolina and all that stuff. And it's John Mateer's room. So the early returns are that the offensive install went ahead of schedule in the spring, and that's due to John Mateer being in that offense for 2 years prior to coming to Oklahoma, and that they're still talking about doing that, hey, every other day practice ends. They're still doing all the walkthroughs with Mateer and Arbuckle doing everything they can. So it's really stabilized, and there's a lot of confidence in John Mateer. If nothing else, is a guy that, again, has been through this as a backup to Cam Ward 2 seasons ago. Last year, he was the starting quarterback, and you're not just going off of, with Jackson Arnold, he had started Alamo Bowl, and you're trying to project off of that. With Mateer, at least you can see in Arbuckle's system the skill set that he's going to bring in everything that they want.
No question. This is kind of a two-pronged question here with this quarterback situation and with the coach situation. With Brent Venables coming into this year, how much pressure is on him? And is there any kind of ripple effect for the way Texas came out of the gate in the SEC, coming out and going to the college football playoff? Does that put some added pressure in your mind on Brent Venables this year, which is an important year just in general, but also just with the backdrop of what Texas, their arch rival, was able to do there in year one?
Yeah, we'll start on the back end. Like, from the fan base, obviously, they look around, look across the Red River, and it's just like, yeah, this ain't going to fly, especially for a fan base that was used to walking out of the Cotton Bowl with their chest puffed out for the better part of, 22 years. If you look at the record, it's been very good for Oklahoma prior to Brent Venables arriving. So I don't think that from the admin situation, though, and they are going to go through an athletic director change, but I don't think that has a big bearing on it. It's all about getting this thing back on track. And while Oklahoma values stability in their athletic department, if Brent Venables rolls off another 7-5, you're talking about going 6-5, a 10-win season, but a 10-win season in the Big 12 to not make the championship game. That's like a once-in-a-decade happening at Oklahoma. And then 6-7 in your other year. He's got to win at least 8, I would say, this year. And they've got a really tough schedule. So I think if he goes 8-4 and there's some context, close losses, stuff like that, I think he'll be okay. For Venables himself, though, he is like the football guy's football guy. He talks about, I go to work every day like my job's on the line, whether it's good or bad. So I don't think it's really affecting him. More than anything, I'd say the urgency is just that week 2, they have Michigan coming to town. And with that Michigan defense, I know they lost a lot, but it's still incredibly talented. For Ben Arbuckle, he's never called an offensive game against anyone quite like the Michigan defense. I'd say the urgency is more toward that because it's unsaid. Everyone knows if it goes poorly, everyone's on the job market this winter.
Yeah, no doubt. Great stuff. Ryan Chapman joining us. There was Sports Illustrated talking the Oklahoma Sooners. We're going to hit a quick break, Ryan. We'll bring it right back to talk more. And that Michigan game has my interest peaked for a certain reason. I'll let you know in about 3 minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus. Simone Gerhard-Patrick talking with Ryan Chapman there with talking Oklahoma Sooners with Sports Illustrated. Ryan, the Sooners will play Michigan early in the year, week 2, I think you mentioned. And Jim Nagy, good friend of the show, longtime Senior Bowl executive director, there now as the general manager of the Sooners, but also a graduate of Michigan. We had a chance to talk about that a little bit at SEC Media Days. What is the dynamic of that position when it comes to how it's impacted the program, maybe even early in the early stages already?
Yeah, the first thing to say is if you look at Jaden Ott, the running back from Cal coming in, that's Jim Nagy all over it. He struck immediately as the spring portal window opened or the post-spring portal window. But It's gone really well. I mean, Jim Nagy, you guys know him really well. He's fit in. It sounds like the OU coaching staff has embraced his grading system and things like that. So everyone's speaking the same language when it comes to high school evaluations and things. I think Jim came in understanding, if you look at the 2026 class, that's not going to be a reflection of his work because they were so far down the road on that anyway. And his expertise kind of comes in the portal and then in 2027, 2028. And Brent Venables speaks really highly of Jim Nagy. Jim Nagy seems to be getting on really well with Brent Venables. We'll see if a recruiting battle comes down to it here, there, or otherwhere. But I think right now it's laser focus ahead on, hey, if you just win games this fall, that's going to make everyone's job a lot easier. Venables is a great recruiter. Nagy's a great evaluator, and it seemed to have meshed pretty well so far.
Yeah, no question about it. And then your time there at Oklahoma with the Sooners, but you also get a chance to talk about other sports as well. The Oklahoma softball team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, who just won a championship. It seems like right now, Oklahoma, that place is buzzing.
Hey, there was a moment, the Champ Series for the Women's College World Series and Game 1 of the NBA Finals overlapped, where if you turned on the TV to ESPN, it was like every studio show was emanating from Oklahoma City. So it's not been bad at all. We'll see when Thunder season gets back in. Here's the thing. With OU and Oklahoma State in-state being so bad a year ago, Oklahoma needed the Thunder, and they pulled through, and now it's time for Oklahoma football to do some of the heavy lifting and let the Thunder kind of coast through the preseason and get their toes wet up until Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's nice when someone takes pressure off a little bit. Attention off you. Cool things cool down. Temperature gets a little bit better. Ryan Chapman, thank you so much. Looking forward to several more conversations with you as we get ready for the football season. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me, guys.
Cool.
Thanks, Ryan.
Good stuff. Ryan Chapman there with Sooners on SI, Sports Illustrated. Good stuff there from Ryan as Oklahoma enters year 2 in the SEC. And we are wrapping up day 4 of our show, Southeast Sports Plus. It's been another great couple of hours with everybody. Looking forward to Friday, and then we will keep going into week 2 of our show. For Patrick Gerhardt, I'm Simone. We'll see you tomorrow.